We'll do this official. Hello, everybody. Great to see everybody. It's going to another great evening for Bristol Township. We'll be swearing in 4 officers. But before we get started, we got to do an official Township Council meeting for October 19th, 2023. Starting time 7 o'clock. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Moment of silence. Please remember our men and women in blue, our service personnel here overseas, our service personnel that never came back, emergency responders, and of course a moment on thoughts of all the mess that's over in the Middle East. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We need roll call, please.
President Bowen.
Here.
Vice President Murphy.
Present.
Mr. Antonello.
Here.
Mr. Blaylock.
Here.
Ms. Dunlap.
Here.
Mr. Glassen.
Here.
Before we started the meeting, we met in executive session. Mr. Flagger, Township Attorney.
Mr. President, we met in executive session. We discussed various legal matters and real estate matters.
Thank you. Monthly reports are available for review in the Township Manager's office. Public comments will be taken on land development and official action items. General comments will be taken during opportunity for residents to address council. Next on the agenda, we have presentations, Police Department new officers, ceremonial swearing in. Chief Colton, it's great to see you again. Seem to be making a habit of this. Yeah. That's why it's a great evening again for Bristol Township.
Well, thank you. And again, I'd like to start by saying thank you to council for your continuing support for the police department, to the community from their support, and also Manager Elton for her support every day. It makes doing my job a lot easier. Okay, we have 4 officers to swear in tonight, and we'll start off with Officer Nicholas Lapergola, badge number 209. Nicholas? Officer Lapergola was raised in Langhorne, Pennsylvania, graduating from the Shannon High School in 2018. He attended Kutztown University, majoring in criminal justice, and received a bachelor's degree in 2022. Prior to attending the police academy, Officer Lapergola worked at Sesame Place as a security officer. He graduated from the Temple Police Academy on October 13th and is currently in his field training assignment in the Patrol Division. We look forward to see Officer Lapergola provide many years of service to the Bristol Township community. Officer Lapergola's oath of office will be administered by the Honorable Judge Kevin Wagner. And at this time, I'd like to call up his mother, Debbie, to hold the Bible for the oath of office. Debbie?
Solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will enforce the laws
and that I will enforce the laws
of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the ordinance of Bristol Township,
and the ordinance of Bristol Township,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I'll discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity,
integrity,
and honesty, without consideration
without consideration
to a person's race,
color,
sex, religious creed, sexual orientation, age, national origin, ancestry, handicap, or disability. As a police officer with the Bristol Township Police Department, so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay. All I can say, if you made it.
Congratulations.
You'll make it here. Yes, congratulations.
Couple of years.
The next three officers I'm going to call up have been employed by Bristol Township since August. The next officer I'd like to call up is Officer William Beck, badge number 210. Officer Beck was born and raised in Northeast Philadelphia. Officer Beck graduated from Archbishop Ryan High School and attended Gwyneth Mercy University, earning a bachelor's degree in criminology. Officer Beck graduated from the Philadelphia Police Academy in March of 2018 and worked as a police officer in the 25th Police District before being hired by the Bristol Township Police Department. Officer Beck is currently assigned to the Patrol Division, and we look forward to Officer Beck serving and protecting the citizens of Bristol Township for many years to come. Again, Officer Beck's oath will be administered by the Honorable Judge Kevin Wagner, and the Bible will be held by his girlfriend, Angelina. Angelina, come on up.
All right.
Even better, even good there. Better. All right. Repeat after me, sir. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will enforce the laws
and I will enforce the laws
of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the ordinances of Bristol Township,
and the ordinances of Bristol Township,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity,
with fidelity,
integrity,
integrity,
and honesty,
and honesty,
without consideration
without consideration
to a person's race,
to a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap, or disability.
handicap, or disability.
As a police officer
As a police officer
with the Bristol Township Police
with
Department,
the Bristol Township Police Department.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it is. It's good.
All right, at this time, I'd like to call up Officer Stephanie Orman, badge number 213. Stephanie? Officer Orman was raised in East Norton, Pennsylvania. Officer Orman attended and graduated from Widener University, earning a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and sociology in 2023. Officer Orman graduated from Temple Police Academy in March of 2023. Prior to being hired by Bristol Township, Officer Orman worked as a police officer in Tullytown Borough. Officer Orman is assigned to the Patrol Division, serving the people of the Bristol Township community. Officer Orman's oath of office will be administered by the Honorable Judge Kevin Wagner, and the Bible will be held by her brother, Michael. Michael, come on up.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
the
Constitution of this Commonwealth
the Constitution of this Commonwealth
and the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will enforce the laws
and I will enforce the laws
of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of Bristol Township,
of Bristol Township,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity,
with fidelity,
integrity,
integrity,
and honesty,
and
without consideration
without consideration
to a person's race,
to a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin, ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap,
handicap,
or disability.
or disability.
As a police officer
As a police officer
with the Bristol Township Police Department,
with the Bristol Township Police Department,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Safe.
All right. At this time, I'd like to call up Officer Brendan Kelly, badge number 214. Officer Kelly was born and raised in Northeast Philadelphia. Officer Kelly graduated in 2012 from the Delran High School in New Jersey. Officer Kelly attended and graduated the Philadelphia Police Academy in March of 2018 and served as a police officer in the 39th Police District prior to being hired by the Bristol Township Police Department. Officer Kelly is serving the people of Bristol Township currently assigned to the Patrol Division. Again, the oath of office will be administered by Judge Kevin Wagner. And at this time, I'd like to call up Brendan's wife, Jess, to hold the Bible. Jess?
Go. Put your hand on the Bible, please. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will enforce the laws
and that I will enforce the laws
of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of Bristol Township,
of Bristol Township,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity,
with fidelity,
integrity,
integrity,
and honesty,
and honesty,
without consideration
without consideration
to a person's race,
to a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap, or
handicap-
disability
handicap or disability
as a police officer
as a police officer
with the Bristol Township Police Department,
with the Bristol Township Police Department.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Congratulations. And like I said, another great evening for Bristol Township.
And the room gets silent.
Oh, but there's so much cool stuff gonna go on.
If only they do. They
Yeah.
don't know what they're missing.
All right. So the meet-
Yeah, they do. That's why they clear out. Clear right out of here. I understand there's a big screen TV and a bar in the back there.
On the police side.
Okay, moving right along. We have presentation from Keystone Municipal Solutions on the Township five-year financial plan. Hello again.
Good evening. My name is Dan Connolly. I'm here with my colleague Brooke.
Is that green, light green? Okay, push that button down or go green.
No?
There we go.
Now, okay.
You guys are tall.
Yeah, we are.
Use the microphone, the handle, whatever you're convenient with.
Does this work? All right.
That's good.
I'm looking at the clock. Good evening. My name is Dan Connolly. This is my colleague Brooke Queenan. We're from Keystone Municipal Solutions. We're here to present the highlights of a five-year plan we developed for the township that was commissioned under the Strategic Management Planning Program, which is a program run by the Department of Community and Economic Development at the state level. The township received a grant to fund the majority of this report. The municipalities that participate in this program are taking a proactive approach to their fiscal situation, having a third party come in, do an assessment of their financial condition, and then having an evaluation of recommendations to improve that fiscal situation and identify how services might be delivered more efficiently. So to just create get into a little bit of background of how the report is structured. The first thing we do is an assessment of the fiscal condition. We typically look back, as we did in the township's case, 5 years rather than like a single year snapshot, to be able to judge current trends and patterns that will influence future general fund results. Based on that assessment, we do a baseline financial projection. That baseline projection assumes that nothing changes, trends remain the same, service levels remain the same, and in most cases looks like a much worse fiscal situation, frankly. Then we do the recommendation phase, management audit phase, do a review of the township's departments, revenue mix, identify opportunities to reduce costs, improve efficiencies, and based on those recommendations, we do a revised set of financial projections that reflects the recommendations in the report, and that's the basis of the 5-year financial plan. So some of the summary findings, and I'll go through. There's a lot of material in the report and on these slides. We'll go over the highlights. The township has achieved significant operating surpluses in recent years, which has enabled it to build its fund balance in all major funds, not just the general fund. The township has achieved these surpluses without raising the real estate tax millage rate, which is really remarkable. The real estate tax millage rate is among the highest in the township, so the township's ability to keep that level where it's at, when expenses just in general increase everywhere. The cost of doing business increases, inflation. So in most cases, a rate increase is necessary just to keep up with the cost of doing business. Personnel costs, like every other municipality we've ever worked in, is the dominant expense driver in this budget, representing about 76% of expenses. So 3/4 of your expenses are related to workforce. We will note that despite the surpluses and very strong fund balance situation, there are some challenges we've identified, notably the other post-employment benefit liability, which is about $75 million as the most recent valuation. The baseline projections that we'll get into in just a second showed narrowing surpluses, and frankly, when we do these in most places, the baseline forecasts show deficits and almost no money left at the end. This is a unique situation that we looked at this from every angle with Randy just to see, are we doing this right? So narrowing surpluses, which is reflective of a trend of expenses increasing faster than the rate of revenues without millage rate increases, but still surpluses, because you're dealing at a base year that's a pretty strong surplus. So this fund balance that you've accumulated does give the township some flexibility to make the investments that we think are required to deliver services to the residents and just improve the overall community. Our main focus was the general fund, your main operating fund. We don't want to gloss over the other key funds. Won't spend any more time on this to say that the other funds are also in good shape, but there is interplay when you want to get down at a granular level between the general fund and the debt service fund, the general fund and the trash fund and so forth. But the fund balances in all the key funds are very strong. This is a line graph representation of your 5-year history of the general fund. As you see, back in 2018, still a surplus, very, very narrow. And over the last 5 years, through a combination of pandemic relief funding, disciplined spending, strong management, there have been significant surpluses. And about $3 million surplus on about $26 million budget, that's 10% of your budget. That's pretty strong. As we mentioned, our baseline financial forecasts were developed with the idea that trends remain the same and service levels remain the same, and none of the recommendations are applied yet. And it's still showing surpluses into the future, though narrowing. We wanted to point out that difference between the rate of growth of revenues, which is 1.9, versus the rate of growth of expenses, 2.4. Projections, of course. Every year you go through your budget process, look at your five-year plan, compare your performance to the plan, take a look around and see how things are going, and you make the right adjustments. But these are our baseline forecasts. Wanted to also mention the fund balance position again. Very, very strong fund balance. 26.6, projected to be almost $27 million at the end of the year. We don't know quite the final numbers. Some of these projections were done a month or so ago. Again, on a combined general fund and debt budget of about $30 million. That's very, very strong. The Government Financial Officers Association recommends a minimum of 15%. That's their minimum. $27 million is along the order of almost 90%, so very strong. Brooke is going to walk through some of the key recommendations on the report.
Yeah, and after Dan stepped through the financial outlook, and I think it's worth re-emphasizing how unique your outlook is and the position it puts all of you in, the ability to be strategic and proactive with the use of the resources you've accumulated through disciplined management and disciplined spending. But it does, people in the audience may wonder, why do we need a plan if we're doing so well? But there's certainly, as Dan mentioned, challenges, and there's definitely areas of improvement to consider. And the plan seeks to outline a series of recommendations aimed at achieving those goals, encouraging efficiency, supporting economic development, enhancing productivity, and identifying areas to evaluate despite having had so much success. Some of the areas within the plan include an evaluation of tax structure. One of the key recommendations in the plan suggests taking a look at your EIT rates in comparison to your real estate tax millage rates and potentially considering increasing EIT. You have non-resident and resident, an increase in EIT rates coupled with a decrease in your real estate tax millage rates. And there's a few reasons why we think that could be beneficial. One is that the overwhelming majority of workers that live here, resident workers, work elsewhere. They do not work here in the township, and many of them, some of them, are already paying EIT to another municipality, and if their EIT rate is above 0.5%, which is what your resident EIT rate is, the other municipality keeps the other piece. So having a non-resident EIT rate below 1% is, you run that risk, right? So that's one key principal benefit. No impact to your residents, but you get to keep the money. Second, EIT grows naturally, which you've noticed. As you read through the report, you likely noted that a lot of the growth that you've seen in recent years in revenue was driven by EIT. EIT, everyone's wages go up, EIT goes up. Real estate tax, you have to increase the millage rate in order to gain any increase in revenue. So EIT is again, natural growth. And then there's also a fairness and equitability around EIT. Generally, it's considered to be more fair than real estate tax, principally because the burden of the tax of EIT is not on your lower income or fixed income or retirees in the way that a real estate tax millage rate is. Changing EIT rates does require a thorough analysis. We included some general information using publicly available census data, but the way we've actually walked through this process with other municipalities, you really want to rely on your tax collector. They have person-by-person information that you can rely on and have a really in-depth analysis to see how it impacts all of your residents, because a change in the EIT rate will negatively, as in make the tax bill larger for some of your residents. If you work here and live here, that would be a higher tax. Now, a decrease in real estate tax millage would be offsetting to some degree, but you may have some residents that do experience increased taxes, and you want to understand that. Our other recommendation around the tax rate structure is one that's more based on, it's more administrative and efficiency. It wouldn't impact the amount of taxes any of your residents pay, but simply considering setting your debt service portion of your millage to equal the debt service payments is generally why you have a debt service millage rate right now. I think the debt service portion of your real estate millage rate generates about $1 million a year. You have $3.5 million worth of debt, so you just transfer money from your general fund to pay for the difference. You could set your debt service millage rate to eliminate the need for a transfer. But again, unlike the recommendation to look at your EIT rate, it's not one that would impact your residents. It's more administrative. We also included some recommendations to take a look at your fund balance and think through policies. The third slide that Dan went through with the table that at the bottom had, I don't even know, lots of fund balance in all of your funds, led us to this recommendation. It's really designed to have a discussion around how you use and how you allocate the funds that you accumulate. I think Councilwoman Murphy and we had a conversation about, it always sounds like a good thing. You have more fund balance, right? There's more money in your bank account, but when you are sitting in all of your roles and you're thinking about the fact that these are taxpayers, you got this money from taxpayers and you have to consider tax increases, I think you have to consider how you use all your resources before you consider a tax increase if you have a large fund balance. So our plan is suggesting that you establish a policy that essentially establishes a minimum amount that you keep, or rather an amount that you would keep in fund balance for all of your major operating funds. And we suggested an amount of 30%, an equivalent of 30% of expenses in any given fund. And that it's actually more than GFOA recommends. GFOA is generally 15% or so, but we felt 30% made a lot of sense, particularly because in the past there has been some fiscal distress here. We also recommended increasing staff capacity in several areas. I think it was, throughout our conversations, it was very apparent that there were past efforts to reduce staff to deal with fiscal distress. It was a necessity. And now that you are in a different place, reevaluating your staffing levels makes sense. Through our conversations and our analysis, we identified several positions worth considering, some of which I know you already have identified yourselves and you're in the process of hiring. We just saw 4 officers join this evening. But we did agree that there needs to be a thinking through of your staffing levels, and particularly in these areas. As Dan led with, one of the chief challenges that we saw was around your OPEB liability. And it's not uncommon. The township is funding OPEB liability like most places are. The difference is that you actually have the opportunity to fund it differently. You could establish a trust and use some of the resources you accumulated to fund that trust, and then establish ongoing contributions. The reason that other places don't do this is because, one, they can't, and the benefits are often long-term benefits. So it's certainly a good fiscal management practice, but it's one in which you see many of the benefits over time rather than immediately.
You're talking about the unfunded liability?
Yes, yeah, for your OPEB. Yeah. And you, throughout the plan, you likely noticed these STMP Phase 2 recommendations. And one of the benefits of participating in the STMP program through which this effort was funded is that you have access to Phase 2 or additional funding to fund some of the recommendations that are included in the plan. Within the plan, there's information technology investments, records management policy and implementation program, particularly around digitizing your records management program. You already have at least a framework of a multi-year capital improvement plan, but enhancing that plan further. Financial policies and procedures, a community and economic development plan. We noticed that in our conversations with all of you, we're really proud of your efforts to encourage development. And there are lots of different community and economic development efforts going on, we are encouraging you to create a plan that sort of formalizes it all, establishes a coordinator that is then responsible for implementing that plan, and also a comprehensive fee and market study for recreational programs.
So this slide rolls in the impact of those and the other recommendations in the report into the baseline forecast. So this slide shows the top portion is the baseline forecast that has the narrowing surpluses. In the middle, the third line, the initiatives, that's the fiscal impact of the new hires, the other investments. There's some savings rolled in there. That's a summary number, the fiscal impact of those initiatives, which does leave the township in a position where expenses do exceed revenues on an annual basis through this projection period. And, you know, as we've described in the slides leading up to here, this is where you use your fund balance, your cash reserves strategically as a bridge to make these investments while maintaining fiscal integrity. We do set the parameter in the plan too, is you don't want that gap between revenues and expenses to exceed more than 2% of expenses. The township does have a history of fiscal distress. You don't want to get into a situation where there's a lot of imbalance, but as Brooke described earlier, it's the balance between, we have significant fund balances, we have taxpayer dollars. We don't want to increase taxes when we're already holding a lot of money. How do we manage both so we can achieve our goals? This is just a wrap-up slide. We're recommending an incremental approach to this plan. It's a 5-year plan. As we say, you know, every year you measure your performance against the plan. You take a look around. You make required adjustments. So you're keeping to, you know, your overall high-level fiscal goals. You know, getting to structural budgetary balance, maintaining compliance with your fund balance policy, making the investments in the community that you need to. We hope that this is a useful tool as you consider the 2024 budget and you further your multi-year financial planning efforts into the future. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
So hypothetically, we raised the earned income tax to 1%, right? And we,
Resident or non-resident, both?
both,
Okay.
and we cut the millage for taxpayers. And then 2 years, 3 years, the school board takes half of that, which they can.
Right.
Then we have to raise millage again to make that up. That's not a good situation.
Well, you're,
right.
so as a home, because you have a home rule charter, you are restricted to 1% for non-resident. So that's the maximum anyway. The resident side, which is what you're referring to, you can theoretically, you can have a whatever rate you want, which is one of the benefits of of adopting a home rule charter. Our reading of your charter is that you don't need a ballot initiative or referendum to increase it, but that's certainly something that you rely on your solicitor to review as well. But if the school district were to increase and say we want our 0.5%, that doesn't mean you would have to decrease it. You may then want to think about it because they're the same people, they're your residents that are now being hit with another tax. So you really do want to work with the school district on this, but in other places, yes, if the municipality were to raise their tax rate to 1% and the school district said, hey, we want our 0.5, they would have to reduce it.
Right, okay. And for residents that's sitting at home, they're in earned income tax, we're just floating some things around. That's all different scenarios.
Yes.
Because nothing stays the same, and we're doing pretty good, but we just see if we could do better with some scenarios.
Yeah, and as Brooke described, different taxpayers and different residents are going to be affected differently by the change. You know, they're going to be those that come out ahead and those who come out behind, and both sides, usually the ones who come out behind, will want to be heard, and those.
Yeah, and the non-resident portion of it is likely less controversial, right? Raising it to 1% for if someone is, in fact, it would, I think though many would support it if they know they're already paying a rate that's above the 0.5 and it's going elsewhere. So that's a place to start, at least. The resident portion, to Dan's point, that requires more analysis and you really want to understand. Yes.
Anybody, any other questions?
The only other thing that I was interested in is the Phase 2 comments. That's something that we want to take advantage of moving forward, I would think, because most of your recommendations are absolutely things that we want to participate in, and we'll need to formulate that plan to phase them in as we go. But, so our manager is fully cognizant of how to access that Phase 2 monies and opportunity for us. Part of the way we have achieved a lot of the things we've achieved was being pretty good with grants, you know, working that system. And we like to continue to do that. Great, but again, recommendations like an assistant township manager, I think we're ready for that now. Don't fight me, Randy.
Anybody else? Questions? Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you
want to
so
say
much.
thank you. It was really great working with you guys, and I look forward to the future.
Yep, thank you. Next on the agenda is presentation and renovation of Bucks County Emergency Shelter. Julie Dees, Chief Executive Officer, Family Service Association of Bucks County. Hello.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and to speak tonight. I hate masks as much as everybody else, but I have a pesky cough and just better safe than sorry. Do you mind if I use that mic? No, is that okay?
Hello.
Okay, oh, there we go. All right, great, thank you. So for quite some time on the back end, we've been thinking about how to make the Bucks County Emergency Homeless Shelter better. You know, at any given time, we serve about 80 individuals at the shelter. A little over a third are children. We have over 200 people on the wait list to get into the shelter. And the way the shelter is currently, it's much different than when we purchased it from the Red Cross in 2012, but there's still a lot to be desired. It's communal living, which is not ideal, and it really is time to step into sort of where we are today with how we know to really shelter individuals in a dignified way. So, unfortunately, I don't have beautiful plans to show you. However, we are now working with an architect. We have a general contractor as well as an engineer, and there'll be a fuller presentation on November 17th at the Levittown Library. Anyone that is interested can come and see the renderings of the building as we hope to see it someday. But for now, do I need to wait for you? Well, as a side note, I had the pleasure of meeting with Randy and Craig about 2 weeks ago now, or a little over 2 weeks, to talk about this. And I was so just thrilled with their response and the support that they threw behind it. And Bristol Township has always been a great partner to us at the shelter, and so I thank you for that. So over here, this is the current emergency homeless shelter. And there are 2 dormitories in there, a men's dorm and a women's dorm. Children are always on the women's side. And so, as you can imagine, if you have, maybe 30 women and their kids running around, it's kind of a breeding ground for conflict. I would not want to parent my children in front of 30 other people. So the vision of removing the kids from the communal living is really what was driving this. So this is the main shelter right now. There are 2 trailers behind the shelter where we are able to house someone if they are COVID positive or if there's a large family and we can't really support them in the regular dormitories. What we're proposing, go back, that's all right, is to build a new structure that would be in front of the current structure. The new building would be 2 stories. The bottom floor would be services, behavioral health services, substance use treatment, case management, medical services, daycare. And those services would be available not just to our shelter residents, but to the community. They would be open for anyone, just the way our Langhorne office currently operates. The top floor of the shelter would be 30 individual rooms. They would be around the perimeter of the top, so every room would have a window, every room would have a bathroom. So individuals with children would be able to have a private room. There'd be offices and things like that upstairs that would be dedicated services for those residents, but the general public would be able to, go back? Oh, you want to see the, okay, well, go ahead. Okay, so this is an outline of how the rooms would be lining the perimeter, and it would, for so many reasons, just be a better setting for an individual that has kids, right? We'd be able to have, most rooms could accommodate 4 up to 5 individuals. They have a bathroom, they have a shower. And then in the center is where we would have various offices for case managers. We'd have laundry facilities, classroom facilities, potentially a small library in there, a recreational place for the kids to go and socialize. And so that would be the upper floor. The bottom floor would be your more standard office-type building. All right, now you want to jump back, Randy? Thanks. So the general public would access the front of the building through a regular lobby and get the services that they came for. The residents of the shelter would have a separate entrance where they would come in. They would have an elevator up to the 2nd floor, so there'd be that level of privacy and separation. There would be a walkway built between these 2 buildings that would be covered so that the shelter residents in the new building would come to here for the cafeteria and certain services that would be offered there. We do plan to renovate the current shelter space to enlarge the male dormitory, which right now can only accommodate about 18 individuals. So that's really the overall vision. If you happen to come to the meeting on the 17th, or I can send them, Randy, and you can distribute, we're going to have some drawings of both the interior and the exterior as we hope to see it in about 3 years. So we're here tonight, because I am here tonight, because we have the opportunity to apply for about $1 million grant. And what is it called, Randy? The shared local, I always forget the name.
Statewide Local Share Assessment Grant.
There you go. And so we'd be asking Bristol Township to submit the application with Family Service as the subrecipient. We have several different sources of funding lined up right now that total close to $7 million. We anticipate the project being anywhere between 10 and 15, hopefully more closer to the 10 side. But we are starting to really get a lot of support, both from local and state government leaders, our local agency, nonprofit partners. There's just such a need for this new and improved version of the shelter. And we'd be probably looking to just kind of rebrand the whole shelter thing, not call it the shelter. I mean, my vision is something like the Family Service Village of Hope, or something like that, that just takes away that stigmatized language of, oh, I'm going to the shelter. So, any questions?
Is that federal money, that grant?
State.
State?
We do have some federal money that we're hoping was going to come through.
So we have the resolution on for new business, but rather than just have it, have us ask for the resolution, figured Julie would come in and present the big picture so everybody understood. So this is just one piece, and because the municipality has to be the applicant, and then nonprofit as subrecipient.
So Julie, when we talked, you expressed how you're always in a slight deficit.
Yes.
And this will be, with doing this, you will be able to, what's the word? Neutral?
Generate revenue.
Right.
Right.
Generate
So
revenue to be.
right now, the shelter does not generate any of its own revenue. Any of the services that we provide on site are not billable services. So we rely 100% on grants and on contributions from our community. So we operate at about a $300,000 loss. So it's a little scary to think about, well, let's serve twice as many people. And believe me, my board is like grilling me on this. So we're going into it with eyes wide open. Because we're going to have so many services on the ground level, those would all be billable. That part of the building will be licensed by behavioral health, licensed by Drug and Alcohol Commission, and so forth, so that we can bill health choices for those services that we're providing, as well as things such as leasing space to a daycare center so that we can bring in some revenue in that way.
I think it's great that you're bringing the services closer to like right in town.
Great, that's what I'm hoping to hear. They're so needed.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
good plan.
And it's here.
It's here.
It's
And
not
it's gonna
going
be
nowhere.
beautiful.
No, I
It's
know.
gonna be a
Well, my-
beautiful building.
My point is, we hear, lower Bristol Township gets stuck with it. It's here.
It is here.
We got to make it better. That's just a personal opinion.
Well, I agree with you, and this
And
really
the bring
would make it
revenue
better.
in is even better.
And the new campus coming in from the county facility will
The timing is,
hopefully get tied together with some of your needs also, and maybe that will benefit also.
absolutely.
And when we did the ribbon cutting at the new campus for the government building, I said, we need to change the name from Lower Bucks to Greater Bucks.
And I agree with you. Let's just rebrand everything.
That's it.
That's a
do
good
it right now.
idea.
We'll do it all together.
Yeah, I can get behind that 100%. And now's the time to do this, really. It is absolutely, don't wait a minute, let's move forward.
I'm delighted to hear that. Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Great to see
Thank you for all the
Yep.
work you do.
Of
Good job
course.
for everything,
Thank you for
all
your
you do.
support.
And then I'm gonna,
Thank you all. Have a great night. And go Phils. Is it over? No, still online.
What's that one? Is that what he just said? Did Ray just say, what's it, one?
It's okay, Ray. It's lonely down at the end. All right, next on the agenda is the blight recommendations. And I'm assuming Township Manager Randy Elton will handle this?
yes,
Okay.
I told Bo Fleming that he could stay home with his children, yes. Although he's a Yankees fan. He didn't want to watch the game, but he does have a child, a little girl and a daughter, and a son on the way. Yeah, Charlie, she's a cutie pie. So I said I would present. I think I have some history in this. Started the program with you guys, so we're good. All right. So we will go with the blight recommendations. The first is for 2740 Avenue B in Newportville. It was stickered by code enforcement, and the blight process letter started in June of 22. Property's been vacant for 2+ years. According to the neighbors, the owner's daughter hired a company to maintain the yard, but lately the township has had to cut it. No contact from anyone during the entire process. No delinquent taxes. Liens on the property about $345. And these are subsequent pictures. Moving on to 136 Belmont Avenue. The property was stickered by code enforcement in September of 22. And it's been vacant for over a year. Spoke with the wife and son of the owner that passed away, that they need to maintain the property. Multiple phone calls have been made to tell them they need to cut the property. Explained I was no longer going to call them and tell them to cut the lawn. The township would start cutting it and lien the property. And we have been. Multiple nuisance violations on the property. Was told that the home would be listed for sale and that the abandoned vehicles would be removed and the boats, but nothing has been done. No delinquent taxes, and so far liens on the property are $345. 1437 Colonial Avenue. This process started again in December of 22. Been vacant for many years. Home is uninhabitable at this time. Issued notice of violation for people living in the RV on the property. Since they, that has since been removed. Inspected the property with our building inspector, and people were living in the home, still an uninhabitable home. Had to explain they had to be removed. No delinquent taxes and no liens on the property. 1031 First Avenue. Property started the blight abatement February of 23. It's been vacant for 5+ years. Squatters have been living in the home, acting as if it was a rental for the past couple years. They've been in and out. Property's since been boarded up due to the squatters. No delinquent taxes. Liens on the property about $5,000. 6 Meadow Lane in Levittown. Stickered and began the blight process of June of this year. Property's been vacant for several months. Home is uninhabitable. Property's down to studs on the inside, completely gutted. No contact from anyone during the entire process. No delinquent taxes, no liens at this time. 9 Vulcan Road in Levittown. The property started blight of May of this year. Property's been vacant for over a year, according to the neighbors. Property has been maintained by the township since the start of the process. No contact from anyone during the entire process to date. Delinquent taxes unpaid for 2022, and liens on the property are $1,300 now and accruing since we've been maintaining. And the last one is 307 Westview Ave in Bristol. The process began for blight in June of this year. Property's been vacant for years, according to the neighbor. Township has had to maintain the property since the start of the process. No contact from anybody the entire process. No delinquent taxes, and liens so far are $450.
Thank you. Anything else?
No.
Next, we have the consent agenda. Consider approval of voucher lists and requisitions dated October 19, 2023, in an amount of $4,586,836.51. Consider approval of September 21, 2023 council meeting minutes. Consider resolution declaring 6 Meadow Lane, Levittown, 19057, tax number 05-049, 154 as blighted. Consider resolution declaring 9 Vulcan Lane, Levittown, 19057, tax partial number 05-041, 196 as blighted. Consider resolution declaring 136 Belmont Avenue, Croydon, PA, 19021, tax map number 05-008-109 as blighted. Consider resolution declaring 307 Western Avenue, Bristol, PA, 19007, tax map number 05058-119 as blighted.
President Bowen, that was just, it shouldn't be Western, it should be Westview Avenue. It says Western, but it should be Westview. That was our mistake.
That's Westview. Okay, so that's 307 Westview, tax map number 05058-119 as blighted. Consider resolution declaring 1031 First Avenue, Croydon, PA, 19021, tax map number 05011-275 as blighted. Consider resolution declaring 1437 Colonial Avenue, Bristol, PA, tax map number 05061-261 as blighted. And consider resolution declaring 2740 Avenue B, Levittown, PA, 19056, tax map number 05-016-077-001 as blighted. And the last is consider resolution for official sewer facilities planning module for Avenue C subdivision in Levittown. We need a motion on all that.
I'll make that.
So who we have a motion? Cindy Murphy?
Yep, second.
Second by Patrick Antonello. On the motion, is there any questions on that consent order? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Next, we have a report from Township Manager.
Thank you. I'm just going to have one thing to say. Well, two things. It's still 1-1, bottom of the ninth. The next council meeting will be advertised to be changed. It is being changed from November 16th to November 9th. Still a Thursday, and it'll be advertised soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Report from Township Solicitor Randy Flagger.
I've nothing formally. I just want to say that that report that we had earlier on the financial situation is a credit to all of you. It just shows you what good government, good leadership with great management can do. And I remember 12 years ago, what I said then is you need a great manager,
Right.
and you need to keep, and your council has to stay together, all
Yeah.
of which you've done. And
Yes.
I commend you for that amazing report. You're the envy of the entire county.
And really great professional partners, too.
Yes, that is true.
Important.
Yep. Thank you.
That's not for me to say.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Flagger?
Go Phillies.
Okay. Next, we have new business. Any other new business? All right. Resolution authorizing Township Manager to submit a statewide local share assessment grant to the Department of Community and Economic Development, DCED, for renovation of Bucks County Emergency Shelter in an amount of $1 million. Need a motion.
That motion.
We have a motion by
I'll second
Cindy
it.
Murphy, second by Joe Glassen on the motion. Is there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Next, we have an appointment to Environmental Advisory, EAC, Cody Brittingham. Consideration, take appropriate action. We need a motion on that.
Are they coming here, or they're not here, or doesn't matter?
They're not, I told them they didn't have to be here tonight. So
Right.
we had a EAC meeting a couple weeks ago. They're trying to get new members and reinvigorate and revive the
Committee
to the
itself?
committee. And I have two more that I have to reach out to see if they'd be interested. We have 2 letters of interest, and somebody else had said they'd be interested. So, so we're gonna, they'll be on for next month.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Motion by
All right.
Patrick Antonello,
I'll second.
second by Sidney Murphy on the motion. Is there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Dave, while we're on that subject, did you put Dave Hawkes here?
No, I was supposed to email you, and I lost your email address, and Craig gave it to me again, so I'm gonna reach out to you.
Okay. You're still interested, Dave, to be on that?
Yeah.
Good. They could
I
use
was
it.
gonna actually invite you to the next EAC meeting, so you can.
That'd be great. I'm glad you made it. Perfect timing. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution authorizing the sale of surplus equipment.
So we have some equipment that is, we've worked with our solicitor to know that the law says anything under $2,000 does not have to go out for public bid. So this is the scrap value for each of these pieces are less than $2,000. There's 3 trucks, and so 2 of our employees have requested to purchase them.
Okay. Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Patrick Antonello,
I'll second.
second by Joe Glassen on the motion. Is there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.
Here we go.
Yes. Bids for township residential solid waste, recycling and bulk collection, and disposal and yard waste collection and composing.
Composting.
What's that?
Composting.
No. Game.
Composing. Composting.
So bottom of the 9th, 1-1, no change. Oh, is it, oh.
Listen, we can't have everything. It's a great evening.
All right, I'm sorry.
All right.
Back to,
Go
I
ahead.
apologize.
No, that's okay. I mean, well, there's always tomorrow. They'll come home and win it. So we had our trash bids out. They were due earlier this month, and through a very competitive bid. We were very fortunate because over the last, I guess, 2 years, we've been advising our residents that, get ready for a substantial increase. We're very happy and fortunate to have the competitive bid that we had. Waste Management, Whitetail, and Mascaro all submitted their bids. It was kind of it will be something I'll never do again, but it was a 13-bid alternate, just to get the feel of how we can possibly reduce some of the contract and services to reduce some of the cost, again, because we were anticipating a very, very large increase. So with the 13 bids, some of it was to reduce the bulk from once a week pickup to either, once a week pickup to either twice a month pickup or once a month pickup. We were seeing if the dumpsters that we have originally, the roll-off containers have in the bid, if we took them out and had a market price for those, would that reduce the contract? We were seeing if we removed pickup from our hauler to all of our parks, if that would reduce. So with all those combinations, in, out, for the prices, that's where the 13 bids came from. So my recommendation would be for alternate bid number 4, that would go to Waste Management, and it would be for the 5 years in the amount of $34,581,044.42. And this would reduce bulk pickup to once a month, and it would also remove the trash pickup to our parks, and we would be doing that in-house. And that is the recommendation. the increase is quite less, and we have reserve that we can use to help mitigate inflation and increases.
Our last contract that is up now, that was 24 million?
Correct.
All right, and this one is 34.
34.5.
And then there's, some people have requested 20 to 40 people in the township that they want twice a week pick up trash. And we actually had a bid on that,
Right, so that was $50 million
right,
over
50
5 years.
million.
Right.
So I really anticipated the old contract was 24. I thought it was going to be in the 40s, over 40, 45. And kind of happy to see that it's down.
I do have one more question I forgot about. The once-a-month bulk pickup, is that going to be on a specific, your trash day, but will that be week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4?
We have to figure that out, and so
right.
if, the bid gets approved tonight, and then we'll start with Waste Management about getting PR out for the next couple
We'll
of months.
figure
and
that
it
out, okay. But it will be, a week will be designated during the month, most likely, right?
Yeah, it'll be a 1 week designated, it'll probably still be the regular day.
Your regular trash day, yeah, but it'll be
Matter
that
of
week,
which-
yeah.
Which day that would be of the month.
And you will call in the township
Yeah,
if you have a bulk
Right,
item this time.
we'll handle it.
Right, so we can track it.
Perfect.
Rest
Okay.
assured, this wouldn't start until January, so there will be an education process.
Correct.
This is not a
Right.
next week thing.
Correct.
Now, that's the only thing that's changing, though, correct? The
The bulk pickup.
yeah, and the timeframes for yard waste remain the same, basically?
April 1st to December 15th.
Perfect. Okay.
So we
I'll-
need a
I'll
motion.
make
I'll
that
make-
motion.
We have a
I'll
motion
second it
by
then.
Patrick Antonello and second by Sidney Murphy on the motions or any questions. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.
And we, just so you know, we have Jen Smith here from Waste
There she
Management.
is.
She's
Hi.
been, she took over for Chuck, if you all remember Chuck forever. Very, very helpful, very, very knowledgeable, and very resourceful in getting back to Joan and I, and even the residents. I mean, she's quick, she's on the ball, and she's here to help. Good to work with.
To have you
know
then.
what? Well, the trash cans, if they break, was there a change in that, or?
So the first year that this contract took over, Waste Management took over from Republic, the township and Waste Management purchased township trash cans, or, toters. And they had a warranty for about 10 years. So we're outside of that warranty, and they're considerably getting aged and older. So rather than have the contract exponentially increase, we've agreed that if you need a new trash can, Waste Management will replace the trash can, and it'll be a Waste Management trash can. If you need a new lid, or new wheels or something of that nature, they have bulk of the other stuff, the existing, so it'll match it out. But eventually, it'll all be phased out, and they will be Waste Management, but uniform Waste Management toters for trash and for recycling.
So if the trash can's damaged,
You call Joan, and then yes. Yes, I think we all agree that Joan Lamina is one of the biggest assets that the township has. So,
Okay, so moving right along, there's any other business? We have comments from council members. Happy Halloween. Go Phillies on the next game. Go Eagles. Okay. Opportunity for residents to address council. We have one person, Wes, come on up. Glad to see you, Wes. Glad you can make it. How you doing tonight, Wes? Good to see you.
Green lights on.
Green lights on. It's all you.
Well, several months ago, I handed you in a letter. I handed you in the documentation
Okay.
that one of your township police officers took my phone with a search warrant that was outdated. He's had the phone for a year and 2 months now. He didn't demonstrate that anything was ever on it that he wanted to find, and I didn't get it back. So I'm wondering what you intended to do about that. Well, I guess I better keep going because my time's gonna be running out. Okay? Now, all I'm gonna tell you is that this same guy, I call him Mr. Cocky Cop, because that's what he is. He's always cocky with his attitude. It's Michael Slaughter. And he has decided to spread the word within the Township Police Department that they don't give Wes Retzler services. You don't come to his house at all. He'll take care of that on his own.
That's cocky, did you say?
So I decided that I can take care of things on my own too, and do things my way and overcome him. Now, as far as I'm concerned, he's hindering an obstruction of justice. And in with that, how do we do things in the township? Do we have the people, everybody in the township responds and has to pay attention to all the laws of the Commonwealth and the ordinances of the township? Are they for everybody, or are they just for certain rules for certain people?
I know the answer. It's for everyone.
Suzanne Newsom
right?
said this years ago, and they went and put her in jail for it because she said that some people have to abide by it, some people don't. It depends on who they are.
Who's Susan Newsom?
She's a former manager here. She, insurance fraud,
Yeah.
jail.
Wasn't insurance fraud.
What was it?
You got a bad memory, boy.
Tell me more, Wes. Tell me more.
You got a bad memory.
Well, I was dropped on my head as a baby.
With something about $14,000 that she took as sick time.
Sick
That's what
time.
that was
It was
about.
sick time fraud.
And,
Sick time fraud. Isn't that what I said?
That's
Sick time
No,
fraud,
that
Wes.
ain't what you said. You said insurance fraud. That's
But
what I
it-
said.
but it was-
You're way behind the times, my boy.
It was insurance to cover the sick time.
You're way behind the times.
Behind the times.
Yeah. Now,
Get
as
with the
far
program.
far as putting fences up,
I know about
we
that.
have to get
I know
permits
about
for
that.
that? You gotta
Yeah,
get permits
I
for
got
that?
one.
you have to get permits for that?
I think that's the rule. It's an ordinance.
Yeah, I thought so too. Seems that my neighbors don't comply with that.
How do you know that?
Parking on the grass.
Oh, you're not allowed to do that.
No? No.
Gotta have gravel, some stones, just a little bit though, under the tires.
Well, I got pictures of a neighbor does this all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Neighbor in the opposite corner from me. Township don't seem to be doing anything about it. Don't care.
You should talk to Cocky Cop about that.
Now, you were being wise guy last week, and you were
I
saying
know, I
something
can't help
about
my- I can't
your
help- I
fence.
cannot
Your
help
fence got
myself.
replaced because somebody ran through it, right? You know what I think?
What do you think?
I think that the person that ran through it did it on purpose because he knew for a fact that was the only way you were ever going to fix it.
No. Do you think that?
Yeah.
You, sharp as a tack, you
Now-
can't put nothing
now,
past West, sharp as a
now-
tack.
Now, Chief Colton, I hope he's
Sharp
still in
as
the
a tack.
building.
I think you're
he's
making
still in the
reports about
building.
your neighbors because you don't like your neighbor.
I don't like that they're getting away with things they shouldn't be getting away with, and I don't like the fact that the township's allowing them to get away with it.
Cop on duty.
So my thought is that you're working with selective prosecution.
Do you have any proof of that?
Yeah,
Would you submit that proof?
you waited too long. You
Wes.
waited too long for that, Antonello.
Wes, we thank you for coming out tonight. It was great to see you, and I hope to see you in a couple of weeks. Yep, so we need
Be careful driving.
a motion to adjourn the meeting. All in
Hold on,
favor?
I gotta shut this
Aye.
up.
Anyone opposed? Thank you so much.